I've wanted to be an astronaut for as long as I can remember, and I've had a very interesting path, I think, getting to where I am today. I started off when I was a kid in grade school wanting to be various things, including aeronautical engineer and a physicist and astronomer, and I wanted to be Indiana Jones for a while, which was a lot of fun. But I have this adventurous bent to me where I like to go find new things. And when I was in college, I discovered the earth sciences, which to me are a wonderful coming together of all the different fields, you name it, physics, chemistry, biology, as well as space science, applied to a very relevant problem, the Earth, where we all live and call home. So I focused a lot on that over the past 15 years and became a geophysicist. And one of the great benefits of doing that, that in retrospect has really fed into my preparation as an astronaut, I think, is it sent me to far corners of the world where I've had to work under very adverse conditions on various expeditions, to gather my data and ensure the success of the expedition. And that's the very sort of thing that an astronaut has to do, whether it's the ISS, whether it's to the moon, or whether it's just on a suborbital flight. You have to make sure you get the job done, no matter what happens, no matter what life throws at you. And I think that sort of preparation will serve me well. I have degrees also in space science and integrated science, as well as geology, and so that's the breadth of my interest there. In my day job, I care very strongly about. I work for NOAA, I should mention, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and everyone in Astronauts for Hire has another day job, by the way. So we all lead double lives, so to speak. And so for me, it's working for NOAA, and where I try to protect people from tsunamis, the threat of tsunamis and earthquakes, and detect them very quickly. And one of the early applications that I saw of suborbital platforms was that we could use these to try to understand the Earth better and perhaps feed into preparing people better for these hazards. So I have a proposal for a project that's quite exciting along those lines as well. As a young boy, I was really taken by science fiction, by both books and TV, Star Trek and all of that. And once I read the Kim Stanley Robinson Mars series, I was hooked on Mars. And I actually I went to a Mars camp when I was in 8th grade. I had gone to space camp the year before, by the way, in 7th grade, and already was hooked on being an astronaut. But I went to this Mars camp where you spent 2 weeks as if you were on Mars, and then actually all the other students in the camp elected me as commander, so I had got my feet wet as leading a group of space explorers, which is interesting how that history's played out now, huh? But I got to take that to the next level in recent years, because after I applied for the NASA astronaut program in 2007, 2008, and I heard in 2009 I'd made it to the highly qualified round. That's the top 400 people roughly. So it's a great honor to make it to that point. It's within the top 10% or so of applicants. I felt this vindication in some ways, or that, whoa, what I've done actually might have prepared me pretty well for this job. And it opened a door for me to go on these 2 expeditions, Mars analog expeditions. In fact, one of the precursory incubators for ideas that actually might have, in some ways, led to Astronauts for Hire were these Mars expeditions. So the Mars Society for the past 12 years or so has operated 2 analog Mars bases, one in Devon Island in the high Canadian Arctic, and one in Utah, remote desert in Utah. So these are called the Flashline Mars Arctic Research Station up in the Arctic, the Mars Desert Research Station in Utah. So one of the, I guess you could call it a consolation prize for not being selected by NASA in 2009. I think it was the month later, someone from the Mars Society contacted me. I had put in an application for that already, and they said, how would you like to come up to the Arctic and go on this simulated Mars mission? And I said, yeah, sign me up, when do I leave? And so I spent much of 2009 preparing for that mission, carrying it out, getting sponsors, doing some of the marketing and entrepreneurial parts that go along with that, because it is a volunteer-based grassroots effort, I should say. And the expedition was a resounding success. I was a principal investigator on 2 projects to look for resources in the subsurface, so tying in my geophysics background with my space exploration background. Anyway, some of the members on that expedition ended up being co-founders of Astronauts for Hire with me. And I did a follow-on mission in 2010. Actually, it was just days before the NSRC conference in Boulder, the very first one. And that was at the Utah station, where we picked up a few more recruits to the cause, and then we launched Astronauts for Hire about a month later. So I think, I think it's a long way off before we get commercial astronauts going to Mars. I don't want to draw that connection right now, but I do think that the inspiration that such activities can provide to people who do have aspirations of being astronauts cannot be understated enough or overstated enough, because to walk out on an environment that looks like another world, wearing a spacesuit, hearing your own breath, talking into a radio, going through the motions that an astronaut may actually undergo when they step on another world can change you. And I think this gives one confidence moving forward. And so that gave us confidence to form Astronauts for Hire as a stepping stone, where we want to start with suborbital missions and work our way up.